Welcome to the SplatZones. We are a monthly video cast / podcast where we bring you the best Nintendo related topics. I am your host, Nice1983, and joining me today is my illustrious co-host, the one, the only, MarioAfterParty.
What's up, guys? I'm in the studio live this time. Not trying to do this by a conference call, so hopefully the audio is much better, and I'm just excited to actually be here.
Oh man, you already know I'm super excited that you're in the SplatZones Towers with me. This is a special episode. First, it is our year in review, which we're going to talk about everything that happened to Nintendo this year. The highs, the lows, and we got MarioAfterParty in the studio, so we're just going to bang this one out, man. I'm ready.
Right. I'm ready. This is one of the most significant years for Nintendo in recent memory, just because they definitely had a lot riding on it. A lot as in the success of the Wii U and, the success of their company as a whole. So let's get into it.
All right. As always, with this brand new format that we brought to you last time, we're going to get into our first topic, and that is the news. So in the month of November, Nintendo lost $4.5 billion after they revealed Miitomo and they announced the delay of Miitomo. This has got to sting a little bit. A mobile game being delayed, especially since Pokemon Go appears to be on track.
So they lost $4 billion in November or during the year of 2015?
In the month of November, after the announcement of Miitomo, so many investors pulled out, they lost $4.5 billion. Remember, this is a company that literally had a license to print money during the Wii era.
Right.
So to lose $4.5 billion is gotta sting. Now, eventually they did bounce back out. People did start to get what Miitomo is. Just the initial knowledge of what their first mobile foray would be frightened a lot of investors out of it. So that happened. Guys, the next news topic was November's the return of the Nintendo Direct. And a lot was said in that Direct. New mode for Mario Maker, new mode for Splatoon, new stages. But only one thing really matters about that November 12th Direct, and that is Cloud. Cloud for Smash Brothers. I'm certain that the internet freaked out. And if you don't believe that the internet freaked out, go ahead, hit up the YouTube, and watch my reaction to Cloud. It is hilarious. I've seen it myself, and I'm laughing at myself. So that happened in November, and that's pretty much the biggest news that happened in November. The end of November, Splatoon did win Multiplayer Game of the Year, which is an incredible feat, by the way, from the Game Awards. But a game that has no voice communication winning Game of the Year, that's pretty significant. So congratulations to Nintendo. And the last topic is actually from this month. Corrin and Bayonetta were actually announced for Smash Brothers as well. Bayonetta winning the Smash ballot that they had last year. She was apparently the number 1 pick in Europe and the number 5 overall pick for the rest of the world. So
yeah, I'm not so sure that I believe that, but I was a little disappointed at first because I wanted another Sonic character. I wanted to see either Knuckles or Tails, but when I actually saw the gameplay footage of Bayonetta, especially like Witch Time, I was like, oh my god. Like, I'll admit, I was more excited when they announced Cloud, but I want to play Bayonetta more than I want to play Cloud. And I haven't downloaded Cloud just yet because since I've been on vacation, I haven't had time to download him on my Wii U yet. But, and I am excited for Cloud, but oh my god, after seeing the footage of Bayonetta, unbelievable.
I am right there with you, man. I am completely right there with you. Like, the way she moves, man. And let's just be real. Bayonetta, regardless of what people think, whether or not she actually won the Smash ballot, Bayonetta is a completely fan service character. The way she moves, like the sultriness in her voice, and her taunt is a dance. She is a completely fan service character, and no matter how much people want to hate, guarantee that this next tournament season, we will be seeing a lot of people, especially a lot of Samus mains, in my opinion, Zero Suit Samus mains, will be switching over to that character. Guarantee it. The playstyle is just too conducive to what Samus players already bring to the table. Plus, well, that witch time.
I hope she ends up being a player that is tournament viable, just because from what I saw in the footage, it's so beautiful and to use her. So it would be a shame if she ends up not being very good. But, we'll see. I haven't even got my hands on Cloud yet, so it remains to be seen whether he'll be tournament viable either. But
oh yeah, we'll be figuring that out later tonight. So those are the major news stories for November and a little bit of December. So now it comes down to our second segment. What are you playing and any amiibo acquisitions? So let's go ahead and talk about what we're playing lately. Excuse me. I've been playing a lot of Splatoon. We just recently had Splatfest, so I did a little bit of that. Been playing a little bit of Smash. The game I've been playing the most lately is Triforce Heroes, The Legend of Zelda. Just got back from a wedding, and when I was not hanging out with family, I was playing that game. So that game got a lot of playtime over the weekend.
Yeah, I just recently bought Xenoblade Chronicles X. I haven't played it yet, but as my schedule starts to wind down and now that it's not so hectic for me at work, I'm definitely going to be playing that probably a lot in the near future. I've still been playing Splatoon a lot for the most part. That game, it's addicting, and it's one of those games I can play on my lunch break for 20 or 30 minutes. I don't have to necessarily devote like a lot of time like I usually do when I play an RPG. So still playing that, and then I'm gonna get Mario Maker eventually, but still haven't bought it yet.
Oh yeah, I've been playing a lot of Mario Maker. Actually, been playing a lot of Mario Maker with the intent of having Mario Afterparty. Try to conquer 4 stages that I designed,
which I did pretty successfully.
Let's just say that on the first stage, I made it so that you're capable of getting a lot of lives, and he successfully used more than half of those lives to beat my stages.
Indeed.
Alright, and as for amiibos, the amiibo acquisitions I got Falco, Mewtwo, and the Animal Crossing series. Still haven't found that Mega Yarn Yoshi. Amiibo hunters, this is what happens when you oversleep. You oversleep, no amiibo. Anything on your end, bro?
No, I'm still waiting for the Ryu amiibo to come out.
Oh yeah, March 18th. They announced that March 18th in the last Smash Direct, and they also confirmed amiibo for Bayonetta, Cloud, and Corrin. So all DLC characters getting amiibo, especially Cloud and Ryu. Fights are breaking out, and I will probably be the one fighting. All right. So that's it for what are you playing in amiibo acquisitions, guys. And it's time for our topic of the month, which is our first annual year in review. Like I said, we're going to hit all the major talking points, all the big major news that Nintendo broke this year, and we're going to talk about the things that didn't happen for Nintendo this year. We're going to cover the highs and the lows. That being said, let's start right off. In January, the first major announcement Nintendo released was the new 3DS XL, and that it would be launching in February of 2015.
Yeah, it was worth it for Xenoblade. I will say that is an amazing game. I didn't get the chance to play it on the Wii, so playing it on the 3DS, it's a great game. That alone was worth the purchase of a new 3DS XL. However, I am disappointed because as of this podcast, it is the only game that you need the new 3DS XL to play. Everything else that's been released, like Monster Hunter or what was the Majora's Mask. It enhances the game to have that C-stick to use for the camera, or like even in Smash Bros. To be able to use the C-stick for your Smash attacks, but you don't need it. You only need the 3DS, the new 3DS, I should say, if you want to play Xenoblade, and they haven't come out with any more games that are exclusive to that, so I'm kind of disappointed, but I don't know. I don't even think they have anything on the horizon for that.
The only thing they have on the horizon, let's be real. I love my new 3DS. I like the new 3D feature, how it stabilizes much better. It's a much stronger directional. You have better directional influence when you're looking at the screen. But that system exists for the sole purpose of Amiibo integration. Literally. It exists so that Amiibo can be used cross-platform, because from the get, they have said that Amiibo is a platform in and of itself, and the only way for Amiibo to function as a platform is to attach it to another platform, and the Wii U just doesn't have the numbers. And we're winding down, and we'll talk about this later, but you know, the Wii U is pretty much at the end of its lifespan already. It's unfortunate because it is a great system, but it's not going to have a long life cycle. And the only way to support Amiibo further is to get it into the handheld market. It's to make sure that the people who have 3DSs transition from 3DSs to new 3DS XLs, just so they can play with Amiibo on the go. It's ultimately, this has become Nintendo's ultimate cash grab. And I know they had similar problems when they launched the DSi, that they only had a few DSi specific games, but at least they had more than one game that really functioned well with the C-Stick. If anything, I felt like Kid Icarus Uprising should have got an update so that nub would have been more functional.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really have too many issues with the controls once I got the hang of Kid Icarus. You know, it takes a long time to really master them, but I feel like once you've spent maybe 5 or 6 hours with that game, you finally do get the hang of it. But
all right. So the next thing that happened in 2015 was Club Nintendo shut down.
Yeah, I didn't get to use all my points, so I was a little bummed out. But
worse for me is that I ended up using all my coins before they actually showed off that Luigi's Mansion statue, so I wasted my coins on nothing. I got a few games, but they were games that I've either beaten long before, or games that I still haven't played, even though I did go through the effort of downloading them. I haven't played them.
I am excited though, because the new Nintendo, or what is replacing Club Nintendo, is going to reward you not just for the games that you buy, but for the amount of time you spend on those games. So they're going to be able to track, you know, the log in your system of how long you've been playing those games and which games you've been playing the most. So I think that the new system will be new and improved, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they can pick. Here's the thing: as much as a lot of people complain about Club Nintendo, and I'm not gonna lie, I was part of that group that did complain about Club Nintendo, but at the end of the day, I was getting free stuff for buying games that I would have bought anyway, so it was a lot of incentive. But not only did they shut down the Club Nintendo service, but they also shut down that, like, buy a game and get another game free. When Mario Kart 8 dropped, I managed to get Wind Waker HD just because I bought Mario Kart 8, and that was a good incentive. I mean, it really didn't work out for Nintendo the way they thought. They thought they would move more consoles with the Mario Kart game. It didn't work, but I did like that program. I did like getting games that I did want to buy, but sometimes when your wallet's tight, you have to make a choice. Is this game what I want to purchase, or do I want to go with something else? Especially when it's a remake game. Remake games are, in my opinion, they're a hard sell. Just because they're in high def doesn't necessarily, unless they make radical changes to gameplay, it doesn't really help that much. So, shutting down both of those programs at the same time hurt. But I'm really hoping that the My Nintendo account really picks up and improves upon. But right off the bat, saying that we're going to get points just for playing games, I'm excited for that, because I play so much Splatoon that I should be rolling in the coins or stars or whatever we're going to get this time around. Alright. So, I'm from Florida, so this next piece of news is super exciting to me. Nintendo and Universal Studios signed a deal to build an exclusive theme park, Nintendo theme park, in all their parks. So this is going to include the park in California, the park in Japan, the park here in Florida. So we have a lot to look forward to on that front. And as of this recording, Universal Studios has petitioned the city of Orlando for an additional 500 acres of land. 500 acres of land. So this could be either a very large Nintendo theme park, or the other prominent rumor going around is that it's going to be a video game centric theme park, because Universal also holds the rights to World of Warcraft. They're making that film that's coming out, so it might be smart to have a multi video game theme park. But if it was strictly Nintendo, I'm already running in my mind. I'm running through a list of things that need to be in this theme park. For me, you need to have some type of Mario Kart ride.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Some type of Mario Kart ride.
They have to have a Pokemon
and a
Center.
Pokemon Center was my next thing.
Because I've been to the Pokemon Center in Tokyo. It is glorious. But I know if they put a Pokemon Center at Universal Studios in Orlando, it is going to be amazing. It's probably going to be bigger. It's going to have, be able to appeal to the American market. And we don't have a Pokemon store in the States. We need one. We really need one. And that theme park is going to be so amazing. It's just going to make me wish that they had it when I was a kid.
It doesn't matter. We live in Florida. I'm still a big kid at heart, so I can see myself going to this place at least once a year. And I love Universal Studios as it is, so I will find myself doing whatever it is. But I'm telling you, Donkey Kong, there has to be some type of Donkey Kong section, like some kind of barrel bumper cars or something. A Mario Kart roller coaster based on Mario Kart 8, where you start on tracks and then when you bump another car, it puts you in that hover mode, and then you go upside down on the roller coaster. Something. They have to have something at this theme park, because that is huge news. Huge news in my opinion. So I'm really hoping that this deal, that Universal Studios gets this extra 500 acres of land, and they really do this park the way it needs to be done. Now on the plus side, Universal Studios does have experience with video game franchises in the park. Very popular theme that they have is the Halloween Horror Nights, and they've successfully had Resident Evil haunted houses and Silent Hill haunted houses, which are amazing. Specifically, the Resident Evil haunted house from a couple years ago, there was a cool section where the house pauses like you pause a video game, and the actor who's playing Leon from Resident Evil 4 is like freeze framed while he's fighting a nemesis monster from Resident Evil. They did great. And the Silent Hill haunted house that they've done, also mind blowing. And in Universal Studios Japan, they did have a full-time Resident Evil house where you actively physically took part and shot zombies with a laser gun.
Well, we know what they're capable of because of how they built up Hogwarts for the Harry Potter section at Universal. So I definitely, if we have a Hogwarts castle, I expect to see, Toadstool Castle or Princess Peach's Castle.
Peach's Castle?
We need Peach's Castle in the new Mario theme park.
Man. And it's not just that, a Splatoon section. Could you imagine a Splatoon section?
Oh, yeah, that would be great. I mean, even if it's just laser tag, if there's some sort of a shooting game for Splatoon in that theme park, it's going to be so fun. It's going to be awesome.
There's just so much potential. Nintendo, if you want to think about it, Nintendo is literally like the Disney of video games. There's way too much potential. The IPs are all strong. There's way too much potential to do so many awesome things. So it's one of those things that I'm going to live in Florida for the rest of my life if they can get this park up and running quickly and make it awesome. All right. So I think we talked about this a little bit in our news section. Nintendo announced a deal. Well, they purchased some stock options for a mobile company called DNA, D-E-N-A. They made that announcement saying they want to integrate their rewards program, which was Club Nintendo, and get into the mobile market. And they wanted to make video games for cell phones, like legit make video games for cell phones.
Is DNA the company that's making Pokemon Go?
No, that is Niantic, and they DNA is a smaller Japanese exclusive video game maker.
I see.
But they do understand the handheld market, and they will be basically doing all the promotion and making everything for the mobile devices while Nintendo handles the development.
Okay.
So all the games that are coming out are in-house Nintendo games with DNA formatting them for mobile devices. This could be huge, and they're going to be able. The goal is for them to integrate the Wii U, the new system, the 3DS, and mobile devices and computers. They even included computers in this topic.
Yeah, it's got a lot of potential. I'm excited, but right now it's all talk, and there's nothing to show for it yet. So until they come out with something for it, I really don't have an opinion on it right now.
Yeah, it's really hard. A portion of it has already launched in Japan, and that's the My Nintendo account. We're waiting 2016 here in the States. Not a lot of information is actually leaked as to what it does yet, so it's we're kind of like lying in the dark. In that same announcement, though, they announced new hardware, the NX, which goes to show you that Nintendo really understands that the Wii U's life cycle is nearing its end. That we're already talking new console, and this was announced roughly around March. So the fact that they're letting us know that they'll be talking about this new console next year, we'll probably hear something around E3. A lot of speculation, though, coming from the NX. What is it? The biggest thing I've been hearing is it's the bridge between home console and the handheld market. Some kind of device where you can play your games on your new type of 3DS, like the gamepad functions. Like you could take the gamepad like you would take your 3DS somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that the NX comes out later rather than sooner, but I think that this holiday season is really going to determine how soon they drop that NX. If it's really successful for Nintendo, I know those bundle packs with Smash Bros. And Splatoon that they had were doing really well. It was hard to find them. All the stores were selling out. If it's a good holiday season, they might delay the NX, but if it's bad, it might be out by 2016.
Oh yeah, Nintendo's notorious at holding consoles that are completed back, like the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance was completed for like 2 years, but because Pokemon came out and was doing so successful, it revitalized the Game Boy that they didn't release that system until Pokemon was ready to upgrade.
Right, and that, not just this holiday season, but I know one of the other topics that you want to talk about for the year in review is The Legend of Zelda Wii U and Star Fox, because those two games, the success of those games and how many new Wii U's those games actually, sell is going to be important as well.
Yeah, to put things into perspective, the Wii U, the highest game with the install base, the highest install base on a video game currently is Mario Kart 8 at around 10.8 million, which is roughly around the amount of consoles that they had before Splatoon and Mario Maker had come out with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the sales numbers have improved since then, and even Smash Bros, as popular as Smash Bros is, only got into about 50% of the households that contained Wii U's.
Right, and like the last time that I checked those statistics, though, if you want to put it in perspective, the Nintendo Wii sold more than the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U combined. So, as much as they've been making, a big deal about Nintendo lagging behind sales in the console wars, nothing has even come close to the Wii. Because you can take all three of those consoles combined, and it still doesn't equal what the Wii sold. So, really, like, even the PS4 and the Xbox One, the Xbox One is selling about as well as the Wii U. And then, the PS4 is, of course, is way out ahead. But really, I mean, none of them are doing quite as well as the last generation, but I know it's early still, but you know, we'll see. Like and it's not really early for the Wii U if they're already talking about the NX, but
yeah, to think that the Wii U dropped in 2012 and you know, we're on the cusp of 2015 ending, and this has got to be one of the shortest console lifespans for any kind of Nintendo system, barring the Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
Really, really want to get into this topic. Splatoon came out this year. Splatoon, I remember when they announced it in 2014 at E3, and nobody understood it. Nobody got it. But I remember watching gameplay and thinking, that game looks like a lot of fun. That looks like something I would want to play. Splatoon is really turned out to be Nintendo's like biggest hit of the year. They've sold
their sleeper hit, definitely.
Nobody expected Splatoon to be what it is, and you know, I want to be honest. When I got that game on launch day, I felt like it was incomplete. It didn't feel like a whole game. But through the steady progression of updating and new stages, new weapons, new types of weapons, like the paintbrush, the ink brush wasn't a weapon when I first started playing Splatoon, nor was the slosher, the paint bucket, or the minigun, not the minigun,
Aerospray?
The Aerospray was a new weapon, and the Gatling gun, the Splatling gun.
Yeah.
New weapons, new stages, and new rank battle modes. Like the whole, like it didn't feel like a complete game at launch, but it has steadily become a major player in the video game world. It's mind-boggling, man.
Yep, Splatoon, you know, definitely put a lot of other first-person shooters to shame, because when you look at a lot of the ones that are coming out now, like the 5th iteration of Halo or like Rainbow Six and Gears of War, they're all really the same. They're not doing anything new for that genre, and that genre was starting to get really stale until Splatoon came along and just completely revitalized it and turned it upside down. And you know, it does have some flaws, definitely, with online not being able to find your friends during Splatfest is my biggest complaint right now. But even just, you know, not being able to play regionally in ranked mode, or not being able to find players that you previously played against like you can do in Mario Kart. Just little things like that. You know, I'm sure that by the second game that they'll fix it, but as far as downloadable content, they did it right. Everything that they've put out there, which has been a lot of new clothes, new stages, new weapons, has all been free, which if you compare it to Smash Bros, I've probably spent almost about as much as I paid for the game downloading all the new content for Smash Bros.
If you currently buy all the DLC for both systems in bundles, somebody did the math. It is $74.99, which is higher than the entry point of the game itself.
Yeah, so it, as much as, you know, it originally I thought, oh, it's not that expensive for this stage and this character, but it adds up. And I didn't get all of the new DLC because I don't really buy it for the 3DS anymore, because I just play the Wii U version now. But yeah, I mean, Splatoon definitely did their DLC right by giving it away for free. So
oh yeah, and that game, man, it's so addictive. You can spend hours playing Splatoon and not really notice. Man, just 2 weeks, last weekend, we played, not last weekend, but the weekend before, we played from like 10 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, and Nice One said something to me which I think perfectly describes that game. It's like the only game that you will love and hate at the same time.
Yeah.
You can hate that game so much that you want to break the disc in half and throw your Wii U out the window, but you will still come back and play that game.
Oh man, and it's one of those games too where, yeah, maybe the story mode didn't have a lot of meat and bones to it, but the amiibo support was pretty fun. Like the challenges that the amiibos bring to the game, you know. Even though it's a little Skylanders-ish, you know, to unlock certain types of gears by using the amiibo, it's not so bad, and it does add to the replayability of the single player mode.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the single player mode really isn't that bad. It is short, but it's not that short. I would say the average player is probably about maybe 12 hours.
Maybe not even that. Maybe
10 hours.
10 hours.
I mean,
about 10 hours.
It's not that short, but it's a decent addition to a game that's really mostly meant to be played online.
The final boss took me like 30 minutes. It's so long.
Yeah, the final boss really is pretty amazing too. But yeah, the Splatoon, definitely, I can see why it was multiplayer game of the year and why it was on so many people's top 10 lists for game of the year, because really it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic of Splatoon, I just want to briefly bring up something I had heard in another podcast. It was about the preservation of video games, and how do you preserve a game like Splatoon and Titanfall and a few of these other games where they're all
Online
based
only.
on online servers.
Right. You can't. I mean, once the servers go down, those games are lost forever. Splatoon at least has somewhat of a kind of a single player mode, but for most of those games, I mean, once the servers go down, that's it. The next generation will not be able to play those games.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, Nintendo did such a good job on this game, and you're excited for the next. I'm excited for what the potential of the next iteration will bring, but I'm also dismayed that there will be a generation of gamers that really can't fully experience all of Splatoon the way they can, any other type of Mario game.
Yeah, which is why I really hope that Nintendo finds a way to allow for a more comprehensive single-player mode and, some way for you to be able to at least play locally using the local area network to connect, so that you don't have to have a server. You can just connect locally and play with your friends. That would definitely keep, at least some kind of a tournament scene for that game alive, even if the servers go down. But yeah, it is kind of sad to think that there are a lot of games that come out today that, once the servers go down, that's it. The next generation won't be able to play those games, like we do now when we go back and play the original Super Mario Brothers, or we go back and play like Contra or, Donkey Kong Country, all these classic games that came out so long ago. And it's starting to be like you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's a strange new world that we live in when it comes to video games. Our next major talking point kind of begins the low points for 2015. We were supposed to have two very big tentpole titles come out this year, and there was one of them that you absolutely knew was going to get delayed, and then there was the other, which looked like a complete game. It looked complete, and it was delayed to get that Nintendo feel, is what they said was going to happen. And those two games being Zelda for Wii U and Star Fox Zero. These games being delayed have to hurt Nintendo. It has to hurt the Wii U so much. Like I said, these are tentpole titles.
Right. I feel like if they had released them this holiday season, it would have been over, because you look at how successful the bundle pack with Splatoon and Smash Bros. Was, and if you had Zelda and Star Fox to go along with the fact that we already have two great games out there that they're trying to advertise, it really would have been a really successful holiday season.
It's almost like the Smash and Splatoon bundle is sort of like in response to not having the Zelda and Star Fox.
Right. Unfortunately, though, it's hard to talk about either of those games because there just hasn't been a whole lot, of information about them. Even with Star Fox, they gave us footage of the game, but, it's not like they really discussed in depth anything to do with like storylines or, gameplay mechanics or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, E3, they showed off a lot of stuff for Star Fox. There was a lot of gameplay footage that they showed off at E3, and I thought it looked good. I heard from a lot of people who are on the floor that it didn't actually look as good as maybe it came across on TV. The thing is, regardless of what we actually know and don't know about those games, those are tentpole franchises for Nintendo. Star Fox has had its bumps in the road, but it's still a major player for Nintendo. It's still a game that they use to sell consoles. But even more so, Zelda. The Legend of Zelda, that franchise is, if not as big as Mario, it's huge for them. And not having a Zelda game, a true Zelda game on this system, is hurting this system. It's almost like when Sega really didn't have a real Sonic game on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, and it's important because Zelda appeals to the older demographic of Nintendo fans, whereas Mario generally appeals to the younger demographic. You know, not to say that there aren't people of all ages that like Mario games, but, you know, most of the time when you have, people talk like Zelda fanatics, a lot of them are, they remember the early days of Zelda because they were around during the 80s and the 90s. So you have people in their 20s or 30s who are really big fans, and that demographic, who hasn't bought a Wii U yet, they're not going to be persuaded by the current roster of games out there. They want something more adult, something a little bit more adventurous, and that really is important to have that game out for this system. So I think you're right, it does hurt for sure.
And like I said, these are the games that sell the consoles.
Right, exactly. They sell the consoles, especially with Zelda. Star Fox, I don't really think it's going to sell the consoles that much, but Zelda is huge.
Yeah, these games. Yeah, Zelda specifically is a console mover. People buy a bundle if it comes packaged with Zelda, and it's just, and it's a shame because the Wii U library is now we've had it for a few years. It's pretty extensive, but without that Zelda game, there's no incentive. Like I was really hoping that there was incentive for the new Zelda game. I would if I didn't already have a Wii U and they announced the Zelda game, I'd be on board right off the bat. So it sucks. This year in specific was supposed to be Nintendo's year. When we initially saw the lineup for 2015, my eyes lit up because we had Mario Maker. We had Splatoon, which the more of Splatoon that I ended up seeing, the more hype I got for that game. Then we thought Zelda was going to be here, and we thought Star Fox was going to be here. Had those two franchises come out, Nintendo would have had the best year out of any video game company, in my opinion. There's just no going around that. But instead, Sony and Microsoft get Metal Gear Solid, and that game is going to overshadow anything that Nintendo does this year because we don't have the right library. This was a very sparse year. Now, the games we got were good, but the year in general, especially on the home console franchise, sparse. It's almost a fail on Nintendo's part. And unfortunately, that's the way it went down, but I guess it gives us something to look forward in 2016, unless nothing else comes out in 2016 other than Star Fox and Zelda. Like I said, guys, we have our high points and we have our low points. Couple crazy things happened this year. The return of the Nintendo Championships. When I was a kid, this was something cool. Nintendo used to have this little tour across the country, despite the fact that it's a world championship. It was only across America. And you went to a stadium and you got to compete in video games. It was actually pretty cool. Nintendo brought it back for E3. And it was a really hype showing. It was kind of, they spun off what they did the year before with the Smash tournament, and then they went all out. They played a number of games, but in the midst of that, they showed off the next Metroid game for the 3DS, and the whole internet went crazy. There is a petition circulating to get Nintendo to not release this Metroid game. The fan base is so mad. Well, and I can kind of echo the sentiment a little bit, because a Metroid game where you don't play as Samus, That's pretty blasphemous. And a multiplayer Zelda Metroid game. Nintendo has. Let's just say Nintendo's multiplayer experiences are really limited. It's Mario Kart, Smash Bros, and now Splatoon. They don't really have a lot of core multiplayer franchises.
When's that game supposed to come out?
I think it's coming out in the middle of next year. Now, it feels... I don't know, because the 3DS front has felt really dry this year, too.
It has been. That's why I said it. I was disappointed that the new 3DS only has one game for it. And it's been out for a while.
Yeah. Nintendo's been going through some...
But, their 3DS sales have been what has been carrying them through this, transition period now. And especially since, they have a new president, they're going to have a new direction. I mean, they really needed some positive this year, and that bright spot for Nintendo was their 3DS sales.
And since we're still talking about low spots, I think we have to talk about the low for this year. President Satoru Iwata passed away this year at the age of 55 due to cancer. It was really unexpected. Coming right off the heels of E3, literally the week after E3, Satoru Iwata passes away. And I think he left a big hole in the gaming community. The guy was a legend and a pioneer. I mean, there's a lot of things that we wouldn't have as Nintendo fans if it weren't for him. There's a story I heard in the wake of his passing that really blew my mind. During the making of Pokemon Gold and Silver, the development team at Game Freak was actually struggling trying to fit the first 8 gems onto the cartridge. The first 8 gems. Satoru Iwata came in, asked what the delay was. They explained it to him, and he, being the man that he is, he might have been the president of Nintendo. He was the president of HAL Laboratories, but this guy loved to be in the weeds. He loved to be part of the development. He went in there and completely reprogrammed the game and managed to get the second 8 gems, which was the Kanto region, onto the cartridge. And from that, he was able to take the battle system and transport it for the 64 onto the 64, and we got Pokemon Stadium. Satoru Iwata's involvement directly influenced Pokemon as a whole. It made that franchise that much bigger.
Yeah, as a programmer, he was definitely a genius. However, as the president of Nintendo, I mean, he kind of failed in the marketing of the Wii U, mostly because they called it the Wii U. They should have called it something else to separate it from the Wii, because a lot of people in the States, they weren't sure if it was like a completely new system or if it was just an upgrade to the original Wii. And the whole marketing behind the Wii U is one of the biggest reasons for its failure. And I think that it's important for the new president now to make sure that when they market the NX, that they don't make the same mistakes.
I wholeheartedly agree. That being said, I still want to make sure that everybody does acknowledge the the good that did happen under Satoru Iwata's reign as president. But let's also be aware that the man was not without his flaws as the president. And it just doesn't extend through the Wii and the Wii U. There's been a lot of confusion between the handheld market as well, as far as the way they market. Like, if you think about the DS to the 3DS to the new 3DS to the 3DS XL, Nintendo needs to really differentiate their markets and let people be really aware of what the differences actually are between systems. That being said, Mario Party brought it up, so we're going to get into that as our next talking point. Nintendo did get a new president. And it looks like he is going to bring us into that new market. And that is President Tatsumi Kimishima. He is pretty much the antithesis of Iwata. Whereas Iwata came through the ranks as a programmer, Kimishima's kind of been like the businessman. Kimishima actually started working at Pokemon USA, which would in turn go on to become the Pokemon Company. It was his marketing and his ideas that turned Pokemon into the marketing machine that it is, signing all these deals with Wizard of the Coast for the card game, doing the Happy Meal promotions, all the things. The guy has the business experience, and he's ballsy. He's a very ballsy guy. So he is here, and he's already, in his tenure, has made some major changes. He has reshuffled most of the executive staff, promoting Miyamoto and to the fellow of development.
Well, it's going to be important. It's good that they have a businessman as their president, because if they're ever going to get third-party support back, they really need somebody who is, familiar with, getting these business deals and getting other companies to sign back on with Nintendo and getting them to develop games. Because as great as Nintendo is at making games, it is really difficult for them to carry a system by themselves, especially when you have games like, The Legend of Zelda Wii U and Star Fox getting delayed. You don't want to have that much pressure on those developers to have to put those games out, because if you have third-party developers making games, like similar to Metal Gear Solid or The Witcher or, the new Tomb Raider game that came out, if those games were coming out on the Wii U or games that were similar, people wouldn't really be putting as much emphasis on the delays that Nintendo have had for their own IPs.
Yeah, and this is the guy who predicted that the Wii U would fail based on its name and its hardware specifications. He is no slouch. He does know what he's talking about. He knows how to do this. Right now, it looks like he's going to be doing this up until next year. We'll see if he gets re-upped on like Iwata. But, he's done a bunch of interviews, and he said all the right things, and he integrated the hardware teams. That is a big deal. He integrated the handheld development team with the console development team, and hopefully that leads to some real cross-development between both of those consoles.
Right, and that's exciting because, I think that's the direction that Nintendo's been going in anyway, because especially with the amiibos and the NFC technology,
yep,
you see a lot of cross-platform, what's the word?
Functionality?
Yeah, I guess functionality with the 3DS and the little Wii U gamepad, being able to use the amiibos on those. And that's important too, just because now that you have more functionality between those two systems, especially when it comes to games, just even like with Smash 4, being able to use the 3DS as a controller, that's a big deal. That's important because the more you can connect those systems, the more attractive it makes for the customer to own both of them.
Absolutely. Just that cross promotion from Mewtwo was incentive enough for me, but I would have gotten both games regardless. Had I known more about the functionality between the two.
So if you can use your 3DS as a controller in the games, or you have you buy an amiibo for one and it works for the other, then if they come out with a 3DS game that actually has a special feature, if you start playing it on the Wii U, and they make little special features like that where you're actually playing the game on both systems at the same time, let's say, that could be something that really just makes everybody need to have both of them, because it just makes it more attractive, because you feel like you're getting a lot more money's worth being able to use that system in so many different ways. So hopefully that's the direction that they keep going in, and that's hopefully that's something that they consider with the NX.
Absolutely. And guys, we've talked about this topic in great length, but I think it goes without saying that we bring it back up a little bit. Pokemon Go was announced this year, and it's been a little quiet on the forefront. There was an interview that I sent you last week with the development team on that game, and how they wanted to make this game. But Pokemon Go, the AR mobile developed game. Pokemon on the cell phones. The more I think about that, the more excited I get for the potential of this game. Like this game, this is in my opinion, this is the natural progression and evolution of what Nintendo's should be doing, and what the game Pokemon should be doing. As it's so exciting, man, to think that we're getting Pokemon on our cell phones.
Pokemon Go is going to be the shit. That's all I have to say.
So that happened this year. We'll be finding more about that next year. I know there's a closed beta right now, and I really wish I knew how to sign up for that closed beta, because I'd be part of it. So 2015, this is awesome. The 30th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers, the game, the icon, Mario.
Yeah.
30 years. I'm 32, to put things in perspective.
I'm 30, so it is also the 30th anniversary of my life. Just coincidentally.
I've been playing Mario games since at least 1989. That's as far back as I can really remember playing Mario games, but I'm pretty sure I was probably playing them before that. But I've actually spent my entire life playing Mario games, and they've gotten better. And Nintendo's way of celebrating that was brilliant. The Mario Maker is a brilliant game. They say, hey, for Mario's birthday, we're going to give you the game where you make the game. And that amiibo, that 30th anniversary amiibo, freaking mind-blowing, dude. That is the amiibo. That is the amiibo, and it's big.
Surprisingly, it's a lot bigger than the other amiibos.
They also launched a website where people were filming themselves doing Mario-related things. I didn't put anything up. I have my own channel obligations for my YouTube page, but it is awesome to have been part of Mario's 30th anniversary, and it was a great showing from Nintendo, in my opinion. We've got a few more points, and this one, another big announcement from the Pokemon Company, Pokken Tournament, a Pokemon fighting game. I think this is huge because Nintendo doesn't really have a lot of fighting games. I think, if you think about it, Smash is really the only Nintendo fighting game.
Yeah, that's true. And this one is going to be more of a traditional fighting game in the sense that Smash Bros is so different from fighting games anyway in general. But this one looks awesome. Everything that I've seen from it just looks like it's going to be really fun. Hopefully, it's deep enough that there is a tournament scene that develops from it. But yeah, I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to it, man. And just last week they unveiled that new controller, and I'm a controller junkie. I love having controllers, and I'm looking forward to that controller. And if they don't release it in America, I'm definitely going to import that controller. I want to play the game the way that the arcade developers intended it to be played. And pretty much our last topic, guys. This is it. The Wii U breaks Target. On Black Friday, the Wii U was Target's #1 selling product. There is, we've said a lot as to how this is a short console lifespan, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of hope for the Wii U. But then this happens, and I have to credit a lot of this to the awesome bundle that they put out. A bundle that includes Smash Bros. And Splatoon. Man, the only way that could have been better if they tossed Mario Kart in there with all the DLC.
I mean, seriously, yeah. If you didn't have a Wii U before that bundle came out, then, you have no excuse not to get one because that is an awesome deal.
100, what was it? 279? 279, you're getting 2 free games and the system at a reduced cost.
Yeah, it's, definitely, I think, in the next week or two when we start seeing the news articles about the, results of Nintendo's holiday season, it'll be interesting to see just how well they did. But yes, ending the year on a high note is good for Nintendo. It sets up, 2016. Hopefully we'll begin where they left off. And, hopefully 2016 is another big year for Nintendo.
Yeah, man. I think that was like the story that shocked me the most this entire year, to be honest. I mean, Nintendo dealing with Universal Studios, that's kind of like a match made in heaven. Like I said earlier, Nintendo's kind of like the Disney of video games. They should have had a theme park years ago. Nintendo finally going into the mobile side of things, they are kind of late on that train too. Nintendo announcing a new console, it's been such a rough patch that we were all speculating a new console before they even announced it. So to hear that the Wii U pretty much breaks Target's warehouses, like they have none at Target in their warehouses.
Well, when you look at 2015, Nintendo has done a lot of things this year that they traditionally don't do. First off, they have been way more supportive of the Smash community, bringing back Nintendo World Championships, being more involved in the tournament scene. That was kind of unprecedented for 2015. Coming out with like a pretty much online-only game that won online multiplayer of the year, that's unprecedented because we all know it took forever for Nintendo to come on board with the online scene.
Not just the online scene, but shooting games as a whole, which don't typically sell well in
They came out with a first-person shooter. Or third-person shooter, excuse me. And then, on top of all that, for as much as Nintendo has kind of shunned mobile gaming, they've decided now they're going to hop on board with that, too. So this year has been a really big year as far as Nintendo transitioning, doing things that are unprecedented for them. But nice one. What are you most excited for 2016?
2016. Well, I'd be remiss in saying that if I got to get my hands on Zelda, that's big news. But to be honest, I'm most excited for Nintendo's overall mobile development scene. What they're gonna do for the mobile device community, people who play mobile device games, they're really stepping up in a big way. And I know that Miitomo doesn't seem like the game, but I think we all have to take a step back and realize that sometimes Nintendo does crazy things that generally work out in their favor. They do crazy stuff and it works. It's always worked. They gave Mario a raccoon suit, made him fly. We loved it. They made The Legend of Zelda a side-scrolling game in the second iteration. We loved it. We got a console where you play with a remote control, and it was their best-selling console. So at some point, we got a game where we play as squids and kids, and we shoot. Sometimes we got to think that Nintendo is the crazy uncle that gives you that weird gift that you end up using all the time.
For me, the thing that I'm looking forward to most for 2016 is definitely Pokemon Go. I love all things Pokemon. The Pokken game is probably my number 2 for right now because that game, I'm sure it's going to be, I'm probably going to get it as soon as it comes out. It's going to be awesome. But Pokemon Go is new, it's fresh, it's using technology that, no game really has ever used in that way, and I cannot wait because the potential behind that game and the possibilities are truly endless. And so for me, going forward into 2016, I am looking forward to Pokemon Go. And but yeah, so it's been a good year, 2015. Hopefully 2016 is better. And, I mean, that's all I got. Closing thoughts, nice one?
Before we close, it is Christmas. I want to have this episode out on Christmas Day. But before we do that, we have a present for Mario After Party. So if you're watching the video feed, you're seeing this.
You're recording this on video?
I am. I'm a little sneaky bastard. What am I going to say?
Well, you should have told me that before we started recording.
Well, I'm only going to use this last few seconds of footage.
Okay.
Well, clearly I had gone to Victoria's Secret for you.
Apparently.
If you're watching the video, you should be enjoying this. Mario After Party. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Show the people.
So we got the Mewtwo amiibo in all its gloriousness. And the best one of them all, the 30th anniversary Mario amiibo.
Modern colors.
Yeah. Thank you, nice one. I really appreciate it.
You already know. And
yeah, I too gave Nice One his Christmas present today, although I gave it to him before we did this podcast, and well, you can explain it if you want.
I have been given the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to being a Nintendo fan. I got me some Nintendo rewards points. So when we get off of this show today, we're going to go download Cloud and go play some Smash.
Yeah, because Nice One told me that he still has not downloaded Cloud. So I gave him $20 gift certificate for the eShop for Nintendo. So now he has no excuse not to pay for all of Nintendo's DLC content.
Oh, you already know.
So Cloud, Corrin, Bayonetta, and all the stages that go along with them should cover you, bro.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. So, guys, thank you so much for supporting us. It's been only a couple months. This is our 5th episode if you count the bonus episode. Thank you so much to everybody who has been listening and giving us the feedback and supporting the YouTube channel, guys. You guys have been great. So, me and Mario After Party, we really do appreciate you listening to the Splat Zones. We do this because we have these conversations anyway. We really do. We have these conversations anyway, and we think we give a different perspective than a few other people. We go places that sometimes other podcasts don't go. So we're really, it's been really a joy to bring this to you. We look forward to 2016 and bringing you more shows, more content. We're not going weekly. I've been asked if we're going to go weekly. It's just too difficult. There's not enough that happens on a weekly basis that we can go weekly. I'm sorry. But we like the monthly format.
Yeah, and my life will not allow this to be a weekly show. I apologize.
Mine as well, guys. Sorry. I do a lot of other stuff. Thank you so much for listening. But before we go, we got to throw out them social media links. So you can hit me up on Twitter at nice1983. You can email me at nice1983@gmail.com. You can go ahead and check out the new website, nice1983.wix.com/game collecting. You can go ahead and hit us on Facebook, facebook.com/nice1983 game collecting. And if you are a fan of the Splat Zones, which I know you are because you're listening right now, you can go ahead and download us on iTunes, and you can listen to us by streaming us on Stitcher Radio. That's it for this episode, guys. And you know how we like to end things here. Stay free!